Hey guys, Super Retrocade here. I'm coming back at you with another video. This one's kind of an interesting video. I wanted to do this whole setup to kind of show you guys what you can do with HD Retrovision cables. So what I have here is, if you go to HD Retrovision's website, they have a third-party products section, and on their third-party products section they have different TVs that they suggest because they've personally tested them with saying that they handle 240p properly. For those of you who don't know, older systems like the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis, when you output RGB over HD Retrovision's cables, they do it at a resolution called 240p, and it's 240 by something, I'm not sure exactly what it is. I think it's like 240 by 160 or something. And a lot of TVs, especially modern flat panel TVs, they will interpret that signal, and scalers will do this too. They'll interpret it as 480i instead of 240p. So then they end up handling it completely improperly, which ends up causing a bunch of lag and a bunch of screen artifacting and stuff. So on HD Retrovision's third-party products page, they have this model TV. This is a Samsung 43-inch. It's like a 2017 model. The J5202, and I actually bought this TV on eBay refurbished, and I was able to get it for like $159, which was a crazy good deal on it. And I think right now on Walmart's website they're $199 refurbished, and seems to be a ton of refurbished units of it available, and I think that's because Costco carried it and Sam's Club carried it, Best Buy, Target. Like, it was very much like a very mass-produced TV. But what's cool about it is on the back of it, well, there's quite a few things that are actually pretty cool about it. On the back of it, so it's got Wi-Fi, it's got a headphone line out, and it's got optical audio out, it's got an Ethernet, it's got 2 HDMI. It only does 1080p, but that's all you don't really want to go higher for retro gaming. And then it's got component on it. And the way that I have everything hooked up right now is I have an SNES 1 chip and a Sega Genesis with a triple bypass. And these are both hooked into a product that just came out. This is the G-Comp Switch 8x2. So this is an 8-port automatic switching component router, or component switch. So what I have right here is I have the HD Retrovision cables coming out of the Genesis and the SNES, going into an HD Retrovision output that's going to the back of the TV. And then I have the TV feeding its audio to my little Bluetooth speaker up here is line-in jack, which, this could be, a beefy analog sound system. And now I'll just kind of demonstrate some of the things that are like really cool. Some of the things that are really cool about this TV. So I'm going to fire it up. And one of the things that kind of prompted me to do this video is I was kind of trying to research this TV, and all I could find were like videos in other languages, and those stupid videos where they're like just like showing pictures of it and reading off specs like a computer voice is. So there's no one like talking about this TV for retro gaming. And on HD Retrovision's website, they don't really talk about how much lag it has. I mean, they say that it processes the signal correctly, but they don't talk about lag. So the first thing I did here was I went into the picture settings, and the first thing I noticed that's nice about it is it very clearly lets you determine, am I changing the settings for all sources or just for component, just the current source. So I left it on all sources. So then I went into the picture size, set it to 4:3. So that's good. Then I went down to advanced settings, and there's a section where it's got all of the motion stuff and whatever, and I turned all that stuff off. Of course, now I'm gonna have a hard time finding it. Picture options. No, that's not it. See, and this is kind of cool too. TV screen is turned off, but audio continues. And you're kind of wondering, why would anyone want that? Well, kind of what's cool about that is you could have a analog sound system hooked up to the output of this TV, and you could have this G-comp switch going to this flat panel and a CRT. You could be playing on the CRT and still using your crazy sound system without having this display turned on. So I thought that that's a pretty cool setting that should be talked about. Let's see, and then I forget where I found it. I think it was under system. I went someplace like outside of where you would think you would find it, and I actually found the game mode. So game mode's already on this TV, and I'm going to show you kind of like how I tested the lag with the Time Sleuth. But when I was originally testing it, it was like 3.5 frames of lag, and it actually still felt pretty good. But then I found how to turn the game mode on, and it went to under 2 frames of lag. And I found that it's under 2 frames of lag with 240p and 480p content. So when you're playing like PS2 or Dreamcast or Wii or GameCube, and you're feeding this TV 480p, you still get under 2 frames of lag. And then when you're playing these older systems, the NES, the SNES, the Genesis, the 64, and you're feeding it 240p, it's still under 2 frames. 480i, which I don't know why you would ever want to send this TV 480i, I measured about 44 milliseconds, which I think is about 16 milliseconds I believe is a frame. So 44 milliseconds is about 2.5 frames. Yeah, so that's not, I guess 480i is not that bad, but it's higher than I'd like it to be. Plus, if you're on a system that you're doing 480i, you can probably do 480p over components, so you're gonna get better results if you turn on progressive mode. Then another thing that's really cool is these speaker settings. So you can go in here and you can say, I'm going to use a receiver, which I think would be like HDMI ARC or HDMI CC, or you can say I'm going to use the TV speakers, or you can say I'm going to do audio out. And the cool thing is, so I'm going to toggle it to TV speakers, and I'm going to go back, and I'm going to adjust the volume. Okay, so you see you get this little display on the left and right. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here, I'm going to adjust the sound, and I'm going to go into speaker settings, and I'm going to switch it back to audio out. And what's cool about that is Oh, let me exit out. The first time that I hit it, I get this message: your TV is using external speakers. Adjust the volume on the connected speakers directly. Then you can do never show. So now when I hit the volume on the remote, I don't get anything on the screen. So the thing that's super cool about that is if you're using Sonos stuff, so like you could be using the Sonos play bar, the Sonos Beam, the Sonos amp. What you could actually use the Samsung stock remote. So like I have all those things, and kind of my grand vision is you have a Sonos amp, and you program the Sonos amp to use the volume codes of this remote, and you know the volume up, volume down, the mute. And then I could have like floor standing speakers and a sub hooked up to this that I'm feeding analog through the line out from the back of the TV. Now the cool thing about that is you have a pretty turnkey solution. So you're just turning on the TV, you're using the TV's remote to adjust the volume on your Sonos stuff, and then since you've got that awesome G-Comp switch, you're just coming over here, flipping a console on, and bam, you've got your console on the TV. So this is like a lost the controller. So this is like a really awesome turnkey solution for that stuff. Now the next part of my video, I'm going to kind of show you how I'm measuring lag. Okay, so what I have here is I have the Time Sleuth by Citrus 3000 PSI or Dan Kuntz, and then I have an HDMI to component adapter that he suggested for using with the Time Sleuth. Now the Time Sleuth, I've set it to 480p mode because the Time Sleuth can't do 240p unless you go and change the settings, and I think you gotta have you have to have like a JTAG programmer, which I don't have, but I can tell by playing it that 480p or 240p feels like it has the same latency as 480p, and I'd say that that's probably a pretty safe assumption. So right now, over the component input, I'm feeding it 480p, and if I put it right here, I'm measuring about 27 milliseconds. So 16 milliseconds a frame, I'm getting under 2 frames. I'm getting like 1 3/4 frames of lag, which is extremely low for a component input on a flat screen, especially one that's processing it correctly. Then I think if I go to 1, I think this is 480i, or no, because that's pretty much, oh no, that's 7, this is 720p. See if I can find 480i. So I know that 2 is 480p. No, that's still low. Oh, I went to 1. I guess it measures pretty good on all the settings. Yeah, I guess I'm just, right now I'm feeding it 1080i through component. And I guess I'm getting a good reading on that too. So maybe it just does great on all of them in game mode on component. Kind of surprised it gets that good on interlaced. I think this is 480i. Okay, so this is less than 2 frames, which basically means this thing is like has less lag than the FrameMeister. Not a whole lot, but it has less lag than the FrameMeister. And this has about as much lag as you would get using an upscaler and then just having a TV process it like normal. Because even a great TV that you're feeding a 1080p signal to, like if you're using like the Mega SG or the Super NT or something like that, you're still gonna have a frame of lag just by having the 1080p go into the TV. Like it takes a TV that long, like at least a frame no matter what. So let's see here. Just kind of show you guys a little bit what it looks like when you play it. Let's see, I'm always doing Donkey Kong. Let's do something else. And that's kind of how I've been really gauging the lag. I've been playing games I'm very familiar with, like Rocket Knight, and let's play Mario 2. Mario 2 is one I don't play a lot. Oh, shouldn't have picked Luigi. He's kind of squirrely. I mean, it just looks gorgeous, honestly. The setup kind of makes me question why I have any CRTs, honestly. I should have picked a game with tighter controls though to show this off. Here, let's do like Mario 3. Let's see. Where is it at? Super Mario. Guess I could have just reset the system. I mean, it looks so good. HD Retrovision makes some pretty awesome stuff. I mean, I just don't see any like noise on the screen, any moving anything. In the background, the whites, the blues. You can see like some texture in them, but it's not moving. It's not like jittery or anything. And so this is a 43-inch Samsung. It's the 2017 Samsung that HD Retrovision has highlighted on under the third-party products page. And it's a pretty inexpensive TV. It's pretty easy to find it for 200 bucks. And it is just great for retro gaming with HD Retrovision's component cables. So if you're looking at this, or if you're like me and you were looking at this TV but you weren't sure what kind of lag there may or may not be, and is it better than having an OSSC and this and that, I'd say just buy one. I mean, it's like 200 bucks. And I really love that you don't need an OSSC and all these, you don't have to turn 5 things on to play your games. You don't have to lug around a giant CRT. And I don't even really know how to describe, or how to explain why it feels so awesome. I honestly I prefer this to even my HDMI modded systems. Even though those are doing those that are doing upscaling and all this stuff, but this just seems great. I don't know. So I guess I'll stop there. This is Super Retrocade. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.